keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you tied a rope to me. You're blessing me.
Hi, oh my God, I love that. That's so fun.
Great intro. Welcome to Under the Red Tent, where wise women speak.
Yeah.
And we're here on our third episode. And we wanted to continue the conversation with a guest coming in shortly about spirituality and our foundation and our spiritual base. So we've talked a little bit and back and forth about our Catholic upbringing, even though Claire can talk about the Church of England if she wants. But, you know, one of the strengths that I feel that I have is my strong spiritual foundation. And when I see the women that I have gravitated towards, I find that they also have a strong faith-based. And it doesn't mean that they're, you know, in the traditional sense, religious or coming from a strong traditional background. It's just really the love of nature, the love of universality, humanity. So that's what I'm saying is, you know, that universal feeling with it. Would you agree, Claire?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have friends from all different areas. Some are very religious, very specific religions that they practice, and then some friends are what I call more spiritually based or Buddhist based, and then I have the people that are actually don't really feel they have a religion or they don't belong to some group. So I feel like I cover the like across the board with the different people that I know and I've known for years in my life. So I think it's a very profound conversation to have because it's you know, we're all so different and all so unique.
Yeah, so unique. And so, you know, I mean, I think it's the umbrella of oneness. It's that we're all united. We're all part of that atomic structure. We've got the same, you know, protons and neutrons and electrons as part of us. So there's that just inherent bonding as a universal force.
Well, I think one of the things I've always felt is that I would love to see, I love the way you said the umbrella, because I would love to see us be like under this umbrella where we can be whatever we want to be, whatever we believe, whatever is our way of connecting to God or to source, however that is. For each one of us, it's so different that we can still kind of come under the umbrella of like, okay, we're all different and we all have different religions and different beliefs, but how can we learn from each other? Because the one thing I have where we joke, I mean, I went to a Catholic school, but I'm not Catholic. I was born in England, and technically I was like Church of England or whatever they call it over there. But at a very young age, my father said to me that from his perspective, that he said, look, you know, even though you're being brought up Christian and you are a Christian, and I was baptized and all of that, he says, but you don't have to be Christian. You can be anything or you can be nothing. It's up to you. I want you to choose what you feel you resonate with. So I feel I've gone on this life journey of learning about all these different religions and different ways of connecting to God, because I studied Kabbalah, I've studied Judaism. I did my conversion in Judaism because my husband's Jewish, and that was fun. I did all sorts of Shabbats and learned how to cook challah and all the stuff that Jewish people do in their holidays, and I got to understand that. Then I've studied Buddhism, Hinduism. And of course, I went to Catholic school, and even though I wasn't Catholic, I learned. I said I know a lot of the prayers, and you know, I went to church, and I learned that faith too. So what the common ground I found with everything was that it was about love and kindness and being good to your fellow man, and that was the common thread in all the religions. That was from my perspective. So I felt that even though they're unique and they're different, underneath they're really the same.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And me too. You know, my father was born in China and was a Buddhist, and my mother was raised Catholic from Italian background. And my father died when I was young, 12. And for some reason, I then renounced Catholicism because I was deeply wounded from my father passing suddenly. And I told everyone I was a Buddhist. Now, I knew nothing about Buddhism. I just pronounced it. And then I went on later, through high school to read different texts, and I studied it in college. And so, on my papers, I'll write I'm a Catholic Buddhist. And then I found, different forms of Christianity, and I found unity, which I love, which is a non-denominational, but studied Hinduism, and I practiced yoga. So, and I also had a stepfather who was Muslim. So,
Wow.
yeah, I think it's a great international,
covered
multicultural. I think I've covered everything, right?
everything out there.
And I'm sure there's African traditions, and there's Native, American traditions, and Southeastern traditions. So there's so much and so vast, but ultimately we all have a heart. We all have a soul, however we want to call that. And we all live under the sun, on planet Earth. So with that, I want to introduce my friend Vashta, and let me bring you on, Vashta. And Vashta and I have known each other. I don't know. She's one of my soul sisters, and I love her dearly. And we met. We were trying to figure it out somewhere in the '90s. So
definitely.
I don't know. I was
90s. We met.
20 or something.
Yeah. Well, you were a mere babe. I remember. Oh my goodness! I found a protocol that you had given me when I was seeing you as my chiropractor and naturopath, and it was 1996. But we knew each other before then.
Way before that, yeah.
Way before then. So it was like early 90s, kind of 80s that we met.
So interesting, because we started as doctor-patient relationship, and then really got to kind of soul bond, and we just loved each other's energy.
Yes.
And I think we just kind of crossed paths in so many ways. I think we went to see the Dalai Lama in New York City together.
I think we did too.
Yeah.
I think how we really bonded, we were with two men that were kind of like assholes, if I can say that. and I'd be on your table, and you know what he did, and I would say, well, you know what, I went through the same thing, and we started talking, and then we started socializing. I think you were doing some health fairs with your ex, and I don't know, we just talking on the telephone. We were going to get pregnant together. We were looking at.
We're both looking to become mothers. Yeah.
Yes. I chickened out. You kept going. But we went through a lot together. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, in different ways, our lives are so parallel. Again, walking through different lifestyles and work history and all of that, but there's that intersection where, and there have also been times where I didn't speak to you for years.
Right.
We actually came together on a project together, the HEALS School of One, which was health, education, actualization, love, and self-realization.
Yeah.
So similarly, a woman that I've kind of have a soul connection to, that we became friends and then worked together professionally, and we're still working together in terms of trying to always come up with new ideas. And also I think with the three of us, I mean, our passion is women helping women, and education, and the love and self-realization. I mean, we're learning about ourselves, and we're learning to empower other women to what we know and the paths that we've walked through.
Right. And I think that we also share a profound unity as far as our spiritual beliefs. As yourself, I practice Hinduism, Buddhism. I was raised a Baptist Protestant. In church, my godmother was the mother of the church. So that meant that I was in church every single Sunday. And I was reading the Bible at 6, didn't know what I was reading, but this was just a ritual that we did every single night. And at the age of 12, I asked my pastor, Baptist, Reverend Gardner, I'll never forget. And I said, well, tell me something about this whole birth of Jesus. Explain this to me. And he said, you just have to have faith. And I said, nah, that's not enough for me. I need some more answers on this. Tell me about, all of these things that you tell us in church, but you're not giving me any reasoning or any explanation for it. So I moved out with that. I said, I went into unity. I walked into unity, and Reverend Eric Butterworth
Right.
was then. He was the pastor, not necessarily the pastor, but he was the person that led that church. And it was like, this is it for me. The metaphysical works for me.
And that was at Lincoln Center. I mean, that was my
That was
first.
at Lincoln Center.
Renee, I need to interject here because I'm listening, but so unity for you was a place where you found that real connection where all the dots came together, because I think there's a lot of people out there that have heard of unity, that it could be a place if you're like uncertain as to where you're flowing with your religion or what you're feeling, because I've heard a lot about unity. I've never actually been to Unity Church, but I feel from what I've heard that it's definitely a place that is for everyone.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And it was in New York City at Avery Fisher Hall, which now I think has changed its name. But imagine walking into an assembly room. I mean, Avery Fisher Hall is the premier like music venue in Manhattan, and 3,000 people, all colors, all gender, all religion. So there were Jewish people and Buddhist people and Hindu people and Christians, and all coming together. Right. And Eric would give his lecture, a sermon, and he would talk about different religions. They would bring it in, and Olga, his wife, would lead a 10-minute meditation. There'd be music, and at the end of it, imagine standing up with 3,000 people, which we can't do today in COVID times, but holding hands, singing, "Let there be peace on earth."
Yes,
exactly.
And we all
always cry. It was such a beautiful moment.
Beautiful.
You just feel so connected. And I'd leave on a Sunday going,
yes,
peace on earth, goodwill to men and women.
And I have a personal connection with Eric. He's my guru. No one has replaced him, and he's been gone for a number of years. I remember I had just miscarried. I was very sad. I was, I miscarried, I think, on a Friday. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go to church. I just need that. This was around just before Easter. And he said to me, he was saying a sermon. He was talking about Jesus going through the town, and with the cross and all that sort of thing. And then he stopped. Now, remember, 3,000 people and more. All right. And he stopped the sermon and he said, I have to say this. He said, and I know these right for lifers are going to have a problem with what I'm getting ready to say, but I'm compelled to say this. He stopped the service and he said, you're just vessels for children. They don't belong to you. And if you lose a child, it's because they made that decision to do that. Wow. And then he immediately went right back into his service. So it was just like, oh my goodness.
Wow, what an incredible message.
I'm sorry?
I said, what an amazing message.
An amazing message. I mean, I tell everyone who I can talk to about. So I believe the spirituality is very real. I'm telling you, consciousness, the higher consciousness is very real. And then I just knew that. I said, oh, okay. I was feeling guilty. He just relieved me of all that guilt. He relieved me of everything. So, I mean, I just think that spirituality is the key for us to be able to make it through this world and make it with each other.
Yeah. I know that without my faith in the universe and God and that connection to source, I would have been in real big trouble with lots of that growth in the areas of life that really challenged me, especially when I was younger, where you don't have the skill sets because you got to learn. And that was where I would and there was a few times where I call it my faith wavered, where I went, is this real? And then I would say, give me a sign, God, show me that I'm not like going down the path where maybe this isn't real. And then there would be something magical that would happen.
Mm.
And I started to learn that there is this energy that we can't really touch, or we can't really explain it because you can't see it, but you can feel it in your heart, and there's just something, it's real in it. And I think when we really connect at that deep place, there's something very freeing. It does, it's like you are relieved from this guilt, this feeling of darkness that we can sometimes feel as humans, because I feel like we are cared for. If we can tap in, we have to trust, right? We have to have faith and trust.
Yes. I mean,
it's also scientific. I mean, spirituality, they've done actual studies and Vashta does Reiki, so you can talk about this maybe in another episode, but the idea that, energetically, they've done studies where there were heart patients that were prayed for unbeknownst to them in a separate area. So people prayed for these patients, and they actually got better. I mean, so they measured that statistically as being significant. And that's profound. I mean, one that scientists have, I mean, they started maybe 30 years ago, but that there is a profound, significant difference with this unknown, unseen, energetic force field.
absolutely.
And we know just from particles in space, as I said before, like the electrons and neutrons. I mean, everything is buzzing at some level of speed, whether it's a flower, a bumblebee, a human being, concrete. I mean, everything is in movement and flow. We don't see that movement and flow, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. So we know that there's an energetic field all around us. I mean, now we're actually walking into, the age of Aquarius that we've been singing about for, since the 60s, right? We're actually now. And so there's a dynamic flow and shift of our consciousness. And I think now all these things that have been maybe put down or not understood, it's all been about the concrete, like the rise for money and power and domination. And now I think, and this is part of, I think, what we're here to do as women, is bring up that more kind of feminine nurturing space and let that be the force in the world, rather than the domination of war and power and control. So I think that's kind of the beauty of who we are and our conversation around this. I mean, that's profound, what's going on energetically with that.
I think that's
part of, the force that we feel the connection to.
Yeah, there is a big shift happening. I mean, I feel like women are really coming to a place where we're starting to have a real voice, where people are beginning to say, oh my God, they do know, not just because you're a CEO of a company or a mother, but we really are connected to source, and we have a lot of value to bring, a lot of wisdom to bring to the table. That's really one of my passions. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I think that the spiritual side also is just going to help just to force the world just to take notice. There's so many things that have happened. I think that what's happening right now is symbolic of how much we have to change and how much we really have to be a part of the change that's happening. So,
well, and that's also the age of Aquarius, because the age of Aquarius is about, we're all one, but yet we're separate, but we have to come together and realize that we're not separate. Everything that, like, say, I choose to do has it has a ripple effect on other souls around me, and that ripple effect keeps on going. It doesn't have an end.
That's true.
So, and I think coming just to that awareness is, the more people that become aware, like when you push out your energy or you do something to hurt another soul, there's a ripple effect that can go on for generations.
That's right.
Now, again, with scientific studies, is that with TM, which is transcendental meditation, they actually have, I think, the most amount of scientific studies around the act of meditation, and have shown that they were doing studies, I think, in the 80s, and continues today, that if 1% of a population meditates, and they've done groups where they've engaged 1% of the population, that they've actually shown that the hospital rate goes down, the death rate goes down, the level of violence and criminal acts decreases. So again, I mean, there's money being poured into this as a scientific study. So it's to really merge the two together, the study of spirituality, the study of meditation, the study of energy medicine, with what we call as science. And, science without kind of art it's science and art together. I mean, because it's not a clinical science we think of as kind of cut and dry, but it's really not, because even we know in studies of physics, when there's an object and someone is viewing that object energetically, the force field shifts.
Yeah.
So, we know that with crystals, studies of water and crystals, and, all of that. And we're 85% water. So, no wonder we react to full moon and wane moon, wax moon, and all of that. So there is a force field energetically in terms of astronomy around us. And so, astrology has been something that people have been studying for centuries. Yeah. I mean, people chose their partners, their wives, their husbands. I mean, the date of planting, the date of giving birth, the date of surgeries. I mean, all of that. So I think we're going to really tap into that as the new science, the new technology, the new understanding. And, I'm here to really merge those conversations together.
Yeah.
It's all true. I mean, there's truth to all these little pieces together.
Yeah, it's very true. I have to tell you that I just started, Bob Roth, TM, I just started meditating in June, and I do it twice a day. I maybe a few days I may have missed, one, but I always, once a day at least, I do my meditation, and I can see a profound difference in my way of even looking at things. Things tend to kind of like not annoy me as much as they did before. I just really see the difference. And Bob also gives a great little talk before meditation on what scientific findings they've had over the years. And they're putting a lot of money into the hospitals now, and into soldiers with PTSD and that sort of thing. So it's really coming around.
Well, what type of meditation is this, Vashta?
Transcendental meditation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, TM.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like to go back to what you were saying about prayer, Nene, I have actually seen prayer lift. And I'm telling you, I was 6 years old. I had 12 aunts and uncles, and we used to go to Christmas with my grandmother, and my grandmother was a prayer warrior. And of course we had, and all my uncles used to try to outpray the other one. So we would all be there for like sometimes 2 hours in the kitchen praying. And I remember one time we were down there and it was a tornado, and it was right in the direct way of my Aunt Ann's house. And she stopped everything and had us all pray. And I'm telling you, and this is the truth, the tornado took down every single house before her, lifted up, went over her house, came down, and took down all the other houses on the street. And this is the God's honest truth.
Oh my God! And your house was saved.
And her house was saved.
Her house was saved.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, so prayer works. I know it does. I have hands-on stuff. Well, like I said, my grandfather, my father's side, was a soothsayer. So I mean, the real spirituality of my family is there, alive and well. Yeah. Absolutely.
So speaking of prayer and meditation, December 21st is the winter solstice. I wish it were summer, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's the time, the shortest hours and of the year turning into like light. We're going into the sun, the light.
Yeah.
So that is a profound time that people are gathering globally to come together to do prayer and meditation. In the 2021 into the light again, and just bringing that synchronicity. And the idea is that think about all the things that you're letting go of, let go of them before the 21st, and then focus on all the things that you want to. We magnetize that energy to us.
Well, Renee has been my spiritual guide for such a long time. I mean, she would just text me or call me and say, listen, this is what's happening. This is what you have to do. Because I'm like, la, la, la. But she make sure it happens. She's already
on your calendar, gals. Write it down.
Yes,
this is it. We're entering the age of Aquarius.
Look at this. Yeah, so thank you for that, Nene.
Yeah, Nene, thank you. Because she sends me these texts.
Yes.
Listen to this. You've got to watch this. You've got to see this. And I'm like, oh, I don't have time. And then she's like, did you listen?
Yes.
Every time I go in and watch it, I go, oh my God, that was really important. I text her back and, oh my God, that was so amazing. I'm so happy to watch that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Changed my life.
Yeah, but she really, she is a teacher. She's like, and she gently tells you until you just don't respond. Then it's like, you have to look at this.
I think it's nice to know that somebody else she does this to.
Yes, yes.
I wonder how many other souls are out there that she's
I'm sure they are.
I had to pay myself when I was a little girl, like 8 or 9 years old. Grew up in Brooklyn, and I was sitting at my mother's white little desk, and she had a blue princess phone. Remember those little princess phones?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So the picture, and I think I was in a blue jumper with a white turtleneck. And how I used to spend my time with my Virgo rising was that I would make up names of students, and I would give them assignments, and then I would grade them, and I would put little red stars or blue stars or gold stars on pages. So one year I brought this picture in, and I showed one of my patients, Tori, and she said, "Oh, Nene, that's fabulous. You grew up to be exactly who you thought you'd be." I said, "Well, not really. I mean, I was a teacher with young students." So she said, "Well, you do the same thing. You give us programs, you write up what we should do, and then you come in and tell you if we've done them or not, and then you give us a gold star." I never thought of it that way.
This is so true. This is so true. Yeah, she does it for everyone. I still have the protocols that she gave me from way back in the early 90s or late 80s. I still have them.
My
Yeah, still have them.
colonic cleanses, and I used to recommend enemas, and people still,
My liver flush.
the liver flush.
Now, I have not gone to Nene for this, but I have done a few of these things. The liver flush,
Yes.
gallbladder cleanse.
Yes.
Some of it's scary, but it works. It really
Yeah.
helps with beautiful skin and aging slowly and all that good stuff to do these cleanses.
Yes, that's so true. Yeah, yeah.
Well, we'll do another episode on cleansing programs. How's
I
that?
think that would be really cool. Talk about all these different types of cleanses are out there, because some of them, seem a little bit strange. But I'm sure that our audience would love to know, because especially now with the virus and all the stuff, some of these cleanses can really help your immune system.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that should be something that's before the beginning of next year. So
Topic that we're going to be discussing: gratitude and compassion and personal loss, making it through personal loss. So I'm excited. We'll all have to come back together again.
We will. For sure.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I really
Oh my God, it's a wonderful, Vashta. Wonderful to finally meet you.
Yes.
Because everyone, I have heard of this wonderful lady, Vashta, for years and years. And one day, here she is. And I'm like, oh my God, it's you. It's like I feel like we're friends. We've known each other for years, but this is the first time we've met. So
I feel like I know you. It seems like we've been knowing for years. So it wasn't like, oh, hi, how are you doing? It wasn't anything like that. It was just like, okay, Claire.
In. I felt the heart expand. I was like, oh, Vashta's cool. She's great. She's friends with Nene. Anyone that is friends with Nene, I think
true. That is very true. Yeah, it's an honor.
So we are going to wrap it up now. Thank you again, Vashta, for coming on our show. And I hope we get to see lots more of you, because you're fun. And I can feel like you've got some fabulous stuff to share.
I think we want some Eric Butterworth quotes next time. I think we have some tapes, some old tapes.
I have a whole box full. Yes. Yeah. And some other stuff too.
Before we go, everyone, I just want to ask you, if you have enjoyed our show and you like us, if you will consider liking us, sharing what we're doing, and subscribing to our channels. We're on YouTube, we are on Facebook and Instagram, and we are under the red tent where wise women speak. And we are out there, and we are looking forward to seeing you again. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nene.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.